since the era of Joshua Kimmich, a pure right back who was moved up to play as a defensive midfielder. I have only just seen someone similar excel in the deep midfield role for a team. That was a comment I read on social media, and it perfectly captured my exact thoughts. Yes, I am talking about Reece James, and the Chelsea captain's performance last weekend clearly proved this point. At Stamford Bridge on a late winter evening, people will remember the 1-1 draw against Arsenal for a very long time. Not just because of the scoreline, nor the red card to Moises Caicedo, but because of one very clear image: Reece James, wearing number 24 and the captain's armband, stood resolute yet proud in the heart of the field, playing the match of his life in a role he had only been promised for years, but never truly lived out. A defensive midfielder in the truest sense of the word. Normally, when people hear the name Reece James, they think of a modern right back, a player who dominates both offense and defense, delivering heavy crosses and possessing the physique to challenge anyone on the flank. But on that night, against the league leaders, James no longer confined himself to the touchline. He stepped into the center of the pitch, taking on the most dangerous, most pressured area where every touch could instantly change the course of the game. And he turned it into his own stage. It all began with an incident that seemed destined to ruin every plan. In the 38th minute, Caicedo was sent off after a challenge on Mikel Merino. Chelsea was forced to play with 10 men for nearly an hour. Arsenal, a team still lauded for their organized football and their ability to suffocate opponents, were even imagined to completely devour the rest of the match. But that didn't happen. The 10 men of Chelsea maintained their structure, fought back, and even managed to open the scoring thanks to Trevor Chalobah's header, from a corner delivered by James himself. Behind that scoreline was an entire evening where James played as if he was born to stand in that central area. In the eyes of those watching on screen, it was a truly comprehensive performance. In the eyes of the journalists, it was a night where James was on a different level against the league leaders, fully deserving a place in the team of the week and receiving every piece of praise reserved for an authentic midfield anchor. The interesting thing is that this story didn't begin in the 38th minute or when Chalobah scored. It was set in motion on the first day Enzo Maresca set foot in Cobham. On that day, as many sources shared, Maresca messaged James telling him he saw his future as a number 6. This wasn't just a casual remark, not a perfunctory exchange between a new manager and his captain, but a strategic idea so clear that he sent James an entire analysis video. Your future is in the center of the pitch. That message resonated like an ironclad commitment. James didn't respond with flowery words. The only thing he did was silently train. And when the opportunity arose, he turned the idea on the screen into live football on the field. Against Tottenham, and against Arsenal, James appeared in the midfield as an anchor with the physique of a defender, but the mindset of a deep-lying playmaker. He excelled in his new midfield role alongside Caicedo, bringing defensive stability and composure in possession to Chelsea. These aren't just empty compliments. They stem from a series of very specific details. The way he received the ball with his back to goal, the way he created passing angles for teammates, and the way he used his body to shield the ball, lengthening the tempo when Chelsea needed a breather. In the match against Arsenal, everything was pushed to a higher level. When Caicedo was still on the field, James and his Ecuadorian teammate formed a modern double pivot midfield, true to form. One specialized in breaking up play, the other in tempo regulation, but both could read the situation and swap roles. Chelsea controlled the midfield well for the first half hour, forcing Arsenal to attack down the flanks rather than centrally. Then, when the red card appeared, the remaining presence in the midfield suddenly narrowed down to one name. James naturally became the sole anchor in the center circle. Behind him, the defense was stretched thin against cross-field balls. It's often said that a team's true character is revealed when they are down to 10 men. At Stamford Bridge, that character was encapsulated in every tackle, every movement, and every touch by Reece James. Post-match reports reiterated that he was almost absolutely successful in his duels, maintaining the necessary toughness while avoiding the recklessness that could have led to a second red card. Facing Arsenal's midfielders, amidst the pressing intensity and physicality of a major derby, James stood firm, constantly blocking passing lanes, dropping deep to recover the ball, and then immediately driving forward with a gentle through ball or a run that bypassed the first pressing line. But perhaps his most definitive defensive midfield moment was not in the tackles. It was in his perspective, his choices, and his ability to read the rhythm of the game. Whenever Arsenal tried to push their lineup high, James would often drop back half a step, never rushing forward recklessly, but maintaining a proper distance between himself and the two centre-backs behind him. That space, to the casual viewer, was just an empty patch of grass. To a defensive midfielder, it was the team's lifeline. If he abandoned his position, Arsenal would have space in the critical zone 14 to deliver a killer through ball. If he stood correctly, every ball intended for the opposing striker had to bypass a difficult interceptor. The Sun used the phrase, tactical genius, to emphasize James's role. When in possession, he resembled an inverted right centre-back, dragging Arsenal's press high. When out of possession, he transformed into the defensive midfielder shielding the defense. He is the kind of player who makes opponents unsure who they're facing. If you view him as a fullback, he was too close to the center circle. If you view him as a midfielder, he dropped deep and pulled Chelsea's entire structure into a sensibly low block. Between these labels is a player operating on true instinct and tactical understanding. The decisive detail of the match, however, was a set piece, something usually used to describe a fullback good at crossing. But here, James's corner kick was the culmination of the entire match he had controlled. When Chelsea won the corner, the team was still down to 10 men and needed to maximize every situation. James stepped up without needing much run-up, placed the ball, and curled it toward the near post with just enough deceptive bend. Chalobah cut across, and a header with the right contact was enough to leave David Raya helpless. This was a moment showing he didn't just carry the midfield, he directly marked the scoreline with a textbook assist. When a player is praised, people often bring up the numbers. For James, the numbers are just the surface, behind the 8.5 rating. Behind the man of the match title, behind the dramatic highlight clips is a long process of physical and mental toll. The injuries, the surgeries, the time spent sidelined listening to people doubt that he would ever return to his peak. Being framed as a right back for too long also made many forget that James absolutely possesses the skill set for the middle, incredibly accurate passing, spatial awareness, and the strength to hold off challenges in the most congested areas. A good defensive midfielder is often described by words like cold, disciplined, reliable, and precise. Reece James displayed all these qualities against Arsenal. But there was something else that made his performance truly resonate with the viewers: a stubborn silence. No need for shouting, no need for extravagant gestures. He demonstrated his captaincy by standing in the right place, challenging at the right time, and when his team was nearly swallowed by the pressure, he still tried to find a way to switch play forward instead of carelessly clearing the ball. That is the special beauty of a true defensive midfielder. People rarely call their names first when discussing a victory. People usually only remember the mistakes, seldom acknowledging the simple, accurate pass in the 90th minute, or the subtle movements that no one slows down to analyze. He didn't just carry, he inspired. The image of the captain speaking after the match, both regretful for not winning and proud of how Chelsea resisted the league leaders with 10 men, was a natural extension of everything that transpired on the pitch. The day Maresca sent that clip to James, he saw a number 6. The day James stepped into the midfield against Tottenham and Arsenal, he began to become a world-class number 6 in the eyes of the world. Not just because he played well, but because after that match, many people were forced to look at him with a different set of eyes. No longer the right back of the Blue Lions, but the heart of the midfield, the one who can single-handedly maintain the team's tempo, even when everything around is heavily tilted toward the opponent. When the match ended, the praise for James didn't stop with Chelsea fans. The media, independent commentators, and names like Alan Shearer, who included him in the Team of the Week, all gave him the recognition that any defensive midfielder dreams of in a big game. And if his future truly lies where Maresca sees it, at the number 6 position, then the Arsenal match will forever be remembered as the night Reece James didn't just play like a defensive midfielder, but became the blueprint for that position in the blue shirt of London. I know what Chelsea fans are wishing for, so let me say it now: we hope you stay healthy, free from the pain of injury, because you are truly special. Reece James.